Well, welcome everybody to Bar TV Sports 2018 Rams NHRU coverage today. We're at number 2 Sports Ground, where it is a very, very windy day, but it's sun's out, guns out, and with me, a man who likes to get his guns out in the summer. Obviously not in the winters. He's got his lovely Wanderers jacket on here today. Bobby Harrison, how are you, Bobby?
Very good. Thanks, Gareth. It is a beautiful winter's afternoon here. The sun's out. The wind is coming from the Parry Street end, and I would estimate it about a 10 or 12 point wind, and really looking forward to today's game. The two Blues up against the competition heavyweight, so it'll be a really good measure of how the two Blues are travelling in 2018.
As we're watching the final stages of this second grade fixture out there today, two Blues dominant here today at their home ground. Should be a different story though in the first grade matchup. A lot tighter. Could go either way, Bobby.
Yeah, well, obviously speaking to Bubba Coleman on his return, he's predicting Hamilton 20-point victors today, and he's very confident, and obviously previous performance would suggest that he's entitled to that confidence. But the two Blues, we're sitting at the bottom end of the top 5 at the moment, just floating along nice and easily under the radar. So it'll be a very interesting matchup today just to see how good we are compared to the big guns.
Yes, certainly, and it is the return of Scott Coleman back to the helm at the Hawks. It's like he never left, Bobby.
And
we had him on a couple of times during the start of the year, and I was goading him, saying that he'd be back by halfway through the comp. Well, he's done that by a round.
You're Nostradamus. I think we all predicted that he'd reappear sometime throughout the year, but probably not after his predecessor had won by 120 points. But that certainly puts the pressure on Bubba today. What happens if he doesn't win by 120 today?
Well, there you go. It's all on the pressure. But he does handle the pressure well, Coach Coleman. I've never seen someone look so relaxed and lazy, and underneath he's a hotbed of emotions. He just doesn't let anything show, does he?
He's absolute ice cool.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he's been one of the dominant coaches throughout the last 20 years or so, I guess, now, since he's captain first grade for the Hawks and come through that progression there.
Yeah, he certainly has. I remember I first came across him in the old Newcastle Wildfires days when he was a wily young hooker. But even at that stage, coaching was always going to be his forte. And moving forward, he's obviously proven the dominant coach in what has been the dominant team and the dominant club for probably over a decade now.
Yeah, certainly, and the sides as well. He's certainly, you can see through the lower grades, the players have come back and around. There's a few big names playing in the lower grades for the Hawks too, and they're looking to come through. Interesting getting to the first grade side here today. Pete Maxwell playing in the number 7 role.
Yeah, so you got Pete Maxwell, and obviously with the return of Bubba, and you have Seva Rockabaro there somewhere in the mix. You know, it's a little bit stick with the tried and true. But at some stage, obviously, the Hawks are going to have to look forward.
Yes, certainly will, and that's what the two Blues have done this year. I guess there's plenty of unfamiliar faces in there. We have covered them a couple of times, and a couple of players coming back into the fold. One such player, Blair Rush, who has made the transition into the prop forward his own, and he's one of the premier front rowers in the competition at the moment.
Yeah, Blair Rush is an interesting case. He first turned up in Newcastle half a dozen years ago and was an out-and-out second-row forward. Had a very bad spate of injuries, missed probably almost 2 seasons in terms of the injuries. Then went to New Zealand last year for a little bit of recovery. Ended up playing front row in a tournament over there, came back and saw us and said, I found the love of my life. We thought it was his girl, but it was actually playing in the front row.
And you don't go backwards.
No.
Apart from Pete Maxwell, who has gone backwards,
Yes.
playing in the hooking spot over the last couple of years, and now finding himself at the number 7. And it has been a problem for the Hamilton Hawks in defence, in managing that channel there. We've seen a couple of tries on the inside between Sherritt and the halfback.
Yeah, like Dane Sherritt's an interesting acquisition to the Hamilton Hawks.
He hasn't really fired, to be fair, this year. He's, he can kick the goals from anywhere, but he just hasn't. I thought he would have taken his game to another level at the start of the year, but it just hasn't completely clicked. I guess the combinations he had at the Waratahs club certainly they were a good combination, that back line, and it hasn't quite sort of struck at the moment.
So we had our doubts here at the Two Blues as to how he would go. He was the sort of player at the Waratahs that demanded the ball and demanded the game management aspects around his game. But stepping into the Hawks world, where they are very much forward-oriented and very structured through there, Dane's probably taken a little bit of while to find his feet. And, you know, he wanted to play behind the dominant pack, but perhaps you just got to be careful what you wish for.
And, of course, the back three for the Wanderers are always the big danger in matches like this, broken play, and indeed on the end of the set pieces. You see the Hamilton Hawks coming out, led by their captain, Steve Lamont. But, yeah, the back three for the Wanderers always the danger in these games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we built at the Two Blues the real strength of the last 2 or 3 seasons has been around that counter-attack and that back three. But, you know, as is well documented, Coach Darren Young is trying to rebuild a new style of play here. It's taken a while to bed that in. Still involves those back three, but we've put a few other little bits and pieces, a little bit of other aspects of our game that hopefully might surprise the Hawks today.
Yeah, certainly, and definitely playing a different style, a lot deeper in attack. The Two Blues this year, they've come to be the champions of the flat attack over the last couple of years, and I dare say that won't change here today. But it'll be interesting to see how they do come at, I guess, a much bigger Hawk side as well.
Yeah, and I think that was probably one of the weaknesses of the last couple of years. All our games between Wanderers and the Hawks have been nip and tuck and decided in the last minute many times, except for last year's grand final. And we probably sat down in the off-season and we thought perhaps the Hawks have got our measure and have worked out our game plan. And if we're going to be more competitive and more engaging for the playing group, then we have to change our style. And that's what the coaching staff has done, and have done to good effect. Probably won't see the full benefit of it until maybe later on in the year. But it'll be a really, really good test
Last
of it
weekend
today.
in September, Bobby, do you think?
Well, you can only hope.
Yeah, well, certainly the competition is very close this year. 3 teams on 27 points, being Nelson Bay, Hamilton, and the Wanderers side. So it's certainly close up that end of the draw for sure. These top 5 sides, and Nelson Bay certainly the surprise packets, but I dare say they'll be there at the end. But these 2 sides certainly expected to be fighting it out towards the end of the year. Yeah,
and I think talking to Bubba through the week, I think we're both on the same page in some aspects, and one of those is that competitions aren't won in June. We're building towards something later on, and, you know, Hamilton have won the last 3 in a row, so obviously it is well documented how well prepared and how well planned they are, and we've probably taken a little bit of a leaf out of their book and trying to do the same for the 2018 season. So you'll probably see the best of the Two Blues come the second half.
So game on now here. Two Blues kicking off, running towards the Marketown side, taken nicely at the back there as Sherritt offloads the ball to Paddy Kilmurray, taking him up to the 22-metre line. And the Hawks, solid start there, coming across. Nice hit there by Marshall Leland, one of the form props as well in the competition. The Wanderers, as you said, they've certainly worked on their tight 5 this year.
Yeah, we've picked up a couple of acquisitions. We've changed a few positions. We've also changed a little bit of an attitude towards about.
Speaking of attitude, was that Heffron on the far side there?
I think it was.
Coming across, a good tackle there by young Bailey Heffron.
And our structures work a little bit in the pod system where our running players get a little bit wider. So you'll see our flankers and our number 8s running a little bit wider today.
Well, first penalty of the match. Kicking distance for Simmons. You think they will probably more than likely go for the shot, and yes, they have indicated that.
Yeah, he's a sharpshooter, Luke Simmons. Speaking to him before the game, he's very, very keen to chase down Sam Bright in that top point scorer. He's been lucky enough the last couple of years, Luke, to be the top point scorer in the competition. And he's about 40 points behind young Sam Bright at the moment. So he's been out practicing, and he's very, very keen to increase his points tally and to decrease that lead Sam has on him.
Yeah, certainly is. And this could be first points. He certainly, as we spoke at the great day we had out at Mandowie a few weeks ago, he certainly has improved his strike rate. Simmons has a flat kicking style.
And any points running into this win, as I said, I think it's about a 10 to 12 point win. So any points you get going into it, it's going to be a bonus at the back end.
And the flags go up. So first points here today by way of a penalty. To Luke Simmons as we pick up a bit of that crowd noise there through the referee's mic.
And there's a decent crowd here tonight, this afternoon too, as you'd expect with these two clubs playing 1 versus 2 over the last few years. And then the women's game to follow. So
kicked right on the 22 there as the Hawks now try to claw back their way into the match. It was a decent start by the two Blues.
Yeah, can't wait to the first set piece here. I'm very, very interested to see how the much talked about Hamilton scrum goes against the much maligned Wanderers scrum.
Well, it's a turnover there, I think. Yes, the Hawks have come up with it. So, first chance really to attack is Kilmurray, or was it Brown? Angus Brown.
Angus Brown.
Hamilton Jr., Bobby?
Sort of Hamilton Jr. Born in the Newcastle district, anyway.
As Kilmurray's screaming for the ball out wide, Sherritt's outside him as it bounces to him there, and McNeil taken. Good tackle, good defence by the two Blues.
This might be a little bit of indication of the intention here. What do you do here? Do you go the scrum and try and get that early dominance, or do you take the points?
Well, I think as we said before with Dane Sherritt, he lands them from anywhere, so it certainly has changed the tact, I guess, and how the Hamilton Hawks have played throughout the start of the season. Of course, Coleman coming into the side might change that mindset.
Yeah, you do think Coleman would want to get that so-called mental superiority he talks about over Wanderers?
He hasn't got it, he said in the paper today.
Well, as we discussed earlier, I think 12 months ago, he said he had it every day of the week. So his short retirement might have made him reflect on things differently.
I wonder if he was the same as David Pocock, and that one goes up. So the score is equalised. He got a paid sabbatical by the Hamilton Hawks, maybe.
Yeah, you're suggesting a paid sabbatical.
I'm not suggesting anything, and the score's locked up 3-3.
I'd wonder if Scott could spell sabbatical.
He's
still yet to see a set piece this early in the game, and Wanderers in a good attacking position. Centre field, another penalty. Quick tap, Yeomans beats the first tackle, hands off to Takali. Looks like referee Xavier Edwards.
Yeah, good young referee coming through, and it's good that the referee's body is giving these young guys a chance.
It's interesting that he's been given the 1 versus 2 game. And Simmons from almost exactly the same position as he kicked that first penalty. And he's going to look for goal again. It's a bit of a penalty goal-a-thon here at the moment.
Yeah, it is a Simmons. He's probably about 2 metres in from where he was before. And certainly
the best aspect of Luke's kicking, I think, is his coolness under pressure. It doesn't matter what the situation of the game is. He goes through the process exactly the same each time. And he's probably the most reliable kicker in Newcastle rugby.
Oh,
until I've just put the mocker on him.
Yeah, might have to eat your words there, Bobby.
Oh,
so
right.
The score remains 3 apiece.
Can we erase that? Restart, Sherritt.
Yeah, big high restart there's. We look to fix the clock on the scoreboard for you guys at home on Bar TV Sports. And that one kicked forward as it is cleaned up in the end by the two Blues. So the game just lacking, I guess, for want of a better word, a little bit of impact early on.
There is.
And this one is a loose ball. This could be trouble here as Maxwell cleans up. The old veteran as he now goes towards halfway.
They look a little bit clunky at the moment, do the Hawks.
Yeah, certainly the changing coach normally gives you a lift, doesn't it? But they haven't come out firing as we probably expect.
I wonder if Coach Coleman's looking over his shoulder right at the moment. We've got an injury.
A little tweet in from Tony Munro.
Oh.
Giving you a good little shout out there. Good call, Harrow. I believe that was in regards to the kick.
Well, I wish I was as right as Tony always was. And speaking of Tony, Danny Murch has been a fantastic acquisition back for us this year. Really filled a hole for us at number 12. Has been amongst our best players all year.
Yeah, certainly. He started off the year. He looked a little bit unfit, I'd say, for want of a better word. But he certainly is. Each week I've watched him play, he's got into the role, and he's left off where he sort of left about 4 years ago.
Yeah, well, apparently he had a lot of expensive dinners at the father-in-law's house, and piled on a few kilos, but very, very quickly lost them when he got into the full swing of training. And as I said, it's been a fantastic acquisition for us. A great player, reliable player, mature young man, and a real valuable person to have in any organisation.
Well, there's a bit going on out there in the middle, as it'll be a line out here.
It's been a very stop-start affair this early.
It has, and that one easily won by the two Blues, going to the back in the wind. I hate to be a hooker on this type of day, Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was a Hamilton ball, and he missed the mark. And as I said, as each minute ticks past, this wind advantage is going to favour the two Blues in the second half.
That ball eases up to half time. The score 3 apiece. We're a few minutes into the game, probably close to 10.
Haven't seen much rugby played at the moment. There's been a couple of turnovers each team. Easily won by Wanderers, that little set piece. Still haven't seen a scrum.
Yeah, so the discipline really letting down, I guess, both sides at the moment. Is now they go work a short side play. Christensen with it up towards halfway.
That's that little pod setup that we were talking about, that we're trying to isolate people out on the edge with attacking numbers. Work quite nicely at that stage.
A nice run there by Rush as well. A little flick pass out the back as Marshall takes a few to get him down, and he's still going.
Big, strong boy, Leland Marshall.
Good aggression too. He lacked that early on in his career, but I guess he's grown into his body and realises how big he is now as McNeil tries to start something on the counter-attack. And the ball comes out now to Sherrod, who'll kick them out of danger. That's a lovely high kick there. Plenty of pressure. It swirls around, but Simmons too safe under that ball.
I think he's looking to go wide here.
Yeah, definitely looking to counter-attack now. And the Hawks' defence, it was a lazy chase, I'd say, at best.
Yeah, the Hawks just taking a little while to get into this game here at the moment.
Well, that's a good tackle. It was on the far side.
Same old aggression at the breakdown, the Hawks. So
ball ripped out of Blair Rush's hands, and we'll see it now, Bobby. It's what everybody's been talking about. The first scrum.
Yes, the much vaunted Hamilton scrum. Talking to Scott before the game, he said they're going to push the Wanderers anyway, all over the park. I'd love nothing better for him to be proved wrong, but it's up to the 8 gentlemen out there to do that.
So the two packs getting set.
Hopefully we won't have to talk too much about scrums. We'll be able to talk about the quality of the rugby. But here we go.
Yeah, there's two schools of thoughts on that. And I'm firmly with you on that one, Bobby. And Sherritt takes on the line. That's a better run there as Kilmurray's cut in half. They go the same way as Coupe goes round the back. Vasagotti taken about 5 metres in from touch. Sherritt calling for the ball, trying to get them on the front foot out to Weaver. And now he comes back, getting himself involved, is the South African number 10. As McNeil tries to bump off, but the Wanderers' defence, it's not really being tested. It will be now down the short side. Vasagotti, can he keep in? Oh, he could have gone himself. It's still very close there, inches, and that's a penalty to the two Blues.
Sorelli Bainavula, I think it was. Vasagotti, was it? He was clear.
He certainly was clear.
All he had to do was fall over and score, but obviously thought that there were defenders coming from left and right and decided to offload and cause the turnover. A big let off for the two Blues.
See it here. We'll get the back end of it. Yeah, he was into the corner there. The modern day winger scores that every time, jumping, taking out the corner post.
That's right. It's pretty hard usually to get the ball off the winger. The open line, put the ball down, and decides to try and offload.
So Christensen, not the best of kicks to get them out of trouble, so they'll have to get a good exit here. That's a good run.
Francis Imea, our Samoan Sevens player.
Yeah, very good acquisition. Of course, coming through the Wanderers Juniors program.
Just like Billy Coffey, walked through the front gate and wanted a game of rugby.
That's Manny Takali taking the ball, and they try to clear, and Vasagotti will feed the ball in. Oh, he rockets that in to McNeil. McNeil has players on the outside of him. He links up as Sherritt gets around, and that's an unfortunate accident there. Bainavalu, and they'll go short side to Brown. Brown, he's hard to put down. He's elusive. Plays a lot like Jay Strawn.
Yeah, he does. Starting to work themselves into the game now, the Hawks, aren't they? You can see their structures coming to the fore.
Sherritt looked to throw the pass, dummied, and he was opened up in the ribs there.
I think they're working on penalty advantage here, the Hawks.
And now, flat ball by Sherritt out wide. Can't get a ball away, though.
He certainly demands a lot of the ball, the 10, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks to play off the front foot, which is always good, and that's some good defence. Front rower on front rower.
Leland Marshall.
He's had a wow of a game so far as Marshall. Rockaboro getting that big arm free. He's taken down, though. The two Blues just soaking up the pressure as Coupe off the back. Ackersdyke. This is where they're dangerous when they offload in traffic, the Hawks.
Yeah, it's been common across all four grades, that little offload.
Oh, that's a good ball there, Pusey. He won't look for Vasagotti. He'll go over for the Hawks' first try.
Yeah, Pusey loves that wide running role, and the inside men are always able to hit him 9 times out of 10. And when you get him one-on-one with a winger, or even a winger and a centre, it's good night.
Yes, certainly he's a big man. As we'll look at the little forward interchange of play there. They're so good at that, the Hamilton Hawks. They're running as a pack. Yeah. And you hear Sherritt was just about to sum it up then and throw the ball out.
Yeah, and you know Hamilton are on their game when that little offload game they have is coming to the fore. First 10 minutes of this game, they struggle to get into that rhythm, but certainly the last 5 minutes, they're absolutely in that rhythm. And but they need to be, because they've got this strong wind behind them.
And they look better with Sherritt. The more touches he gets, he certainly is leading them round very well at the moment.
Yeah, we obviously do some reviews before each game, and Sherritt's been fairly quiet, and he certainly is playing a different role now under Coach Coleman, or should I say Super Coach Coleman.
Well, when we had Bubba up in commentary at the start of the year, he was saying that as well, that he didn't think Sherritt was getting enough touches on the ball, so definitely that's something he's come in and changed this week.
Yes, he's changed that. Rule number 1, give Dane Sherritt the ball whenever he wants it.
And it's good to see a dominant fly half, I think, in the competition. It's something that the Hawks have lacked over the last few years. I know they are perennial premiers, but that's a shocking kick to restart there.
Into a strong wind, but it wasn't,
You go for distance in those conditions, Bobby, even a...
That's right.
A shin kicker like me knows that.
Oh, you had your little skill set there, Gareth.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little skill set.
It was a little one, but it was there.
But it wasn't start the two Blues needed there. They should have gone long, re-established themselves in the game. Now they've given Hamilton front football in reasonable field position. And if Sherritt starts to dominate the game, it just gives them an extra dimension in their play. The Hawks, they've got the strong forward pack, and now if they've got someone to run their backs around, that certainly completes a well-rounded team.
It's a good scrum by the two Blues. They really try and put on the pressure. And for the purists out there, they would have loved that one.
Absolutely, and certainly Coach Coleman's pack isn't pushing the two Blues all around the park as he thought they were going to just yet.
Here's Backarich. One thing Bubba did say before the game, he hasn't got a passing licence, Backarich, and we saw why just then. Now Sherritt with the ball to Ale, formerly known as Pussy.
It's a turnover.
Yeah, so plenty of pressure
Can the two
again
Blues
by the two Blues. They pick and drive this time. Good option just to settle things down.
get some quick release here? We're going back to the original knock on. The first scrum on a two Blues feed, I believe.
Yeah, so we'll see how the Hawks attack this scrum. There's Christensen playing hooker.
Scrums certainly take a little while to get set and get packed in modern day rugby, don't they?
They'll take a minute at Madawi, but time slows down at Madawi for everyone.
It does. I was going to say that exact same thing. The timeless land of Madawi.
The heart of Port Stephens, of course. Madawi playing as the third grade for Nelson Bay. We saw the last game on the NHRU, the Bay versus Maitland in those cyclonic conditions up there.
And the Bay doing very, very well in 2018, aren't they?
They certainly are. I wouldn't say they're premiership favourites, but certainly favourites to get in the top five.
And it'd be nice to have a bit of a change in personnel in that top five. Bit of weight going on in those scrums.
Matt Newman. They go wide. Straight away, Simmons links up round the back. This is where they're dangerous, the two Blues, but the Hawks, they come across in defence and they read the play well.
Very aggressively at that breakdown. I think they forced a turnover.
Yeah, you've nailed it there, Bobby, because they have got a lot more aggression at the breakdown off the back of that try.
But in saying that, the two Blues did get on the outside there reasonably easily. So perhaps as we get on in the game and fatigue starts to set in, those holes might get a little bit wider, and that system that the two Blues are playing at the moment might pay dividends later on in the game.
So now they look to get out of their own half again here, the Hawks, and Sherritt punches that one down, this time out of the way of Simmons, which is a rarity that doesn't get to the ball on the full, Simmons, so good.
Plenty of time.
Option there by Sherritt, and as you said, plenty of time, and that's a good kick to get them out of trouble. He was under a bit of pressure in the end.
Yeah. And we go line-outs. Both clubs, both teams have been very even in the line-outs to date. Overall, it's been a pretty even game to date. Most of it played between the two 22s. Strong line-out work at the back by Manny Takali. Two Blues look to go wide again.
Yeah, George Ashworth with the familiar headgear coming around in the sweeping play that time. Now here comes Blair Rush as he takes them forward. Simmons, he goes wide. Christensen met by Sherritt as Lamont trips over.
Liam Bryce just puts his shoulder on the touchline there. Good work by the linesman who picked that up.
Tommy Coupe looking for the quick one, but they'll come back for a full set here. And that's over the top, so just not getting the throws there, Ale.
And by the look of this game, I think we're going to go to the 80th minute again today, Gareth.
Well, Murch putting the kick straight down McNeil's throat that time. So we're getting well looked after here at number 2.
Everyone gets looked after at number 2. Great kick.
Nice little pig on the spit, Bobby.
Sponsors Day today here at number 2 Sports Ground. And the crowd has certainly picked up recently. There's a decent crowd in here now.
Yeah, and of course we're live here with the Fijiana women's side taking on the Hunter women's side, which will be an interesting matchup live on Bar TV Sports across the Pacific after this.
Yeah, it might be a bit cool come 5 o'clock this afternoon when that sun drops.
Sure, you'll be scooting straight off, Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Defensively, very, very good, the Hawks, aren't they?
Jeremiah, sorry, and they go quick, and they go at it, but it's called back.
I really don't know what that rule is. Didn't tap it on the mark. Hope he's consistent with that throughout the afternoon, and I'm sure he will be.
Yeah, he certainly will be, and I'll tell you what, I've just stuffed my mouth with my first, well, not first piece of crackling, but it was very good.
I would say the Hawks will turn the power on here. Scrum 10 metres out underneath the goalposts.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if they've been holding back or the Wanderers certainly have put a lot of effort into their scrum this year.
Well, we picked up a new scrum advisor. I wouldn't call him a scrum coach. A well-known name around town, Chris Stratton.
Oh, there you go.
And Chris has got very...
Oh, penalty to Blues. They'll be very happy with that. The backs come running in. There'll be taps on the head, taps on the bum.
That's right. Great scrum by the two
Blues.
Blues.
A very good scrum. So the Hawks, they look a little bit shell-shocked after that one.
Yeah, when you go in with basically, I won't say one game plan, but a fair element of the game plan is your dominance at scrum, and it doesn't happen. Can they come back with something else?
And their line-out certainly hasn't been firing as well, which is an area that they're generally very good at. Barbara Coleman writing a thesis on the line-out for his coaching.
I'd love to read that thesis.
That one comes to the front. That's a better option. But the Hawks come up with it. Now coming out, here's Ale taking the first run.
Strong run too.
Yeah, very good run as he crawls forward. So Sherritt now, he's calling for it. Rockaboro out wide.
Looking for the offload.
He was looking for the offload, but Sherritt comes around the corner again. Here's Brown. Brown steps off his left and puts the palm out. Here's Backrich. He changes his angle last minute and winds up on the end of some heavy contact. Inside balls, they rush up. McNeil looking to start something up the middle there, looking for some lazy forwards.
He's certainly changed looking to change the way they play, Scott, isn't he? Sherritt gets so much of the ball, dictates the direction of which side they're going to go. And at the moment, they're dominating the possession.
Yeah, the combination with Noah Church certainly growing for the Hawks side. And here's Church now feeding Sherritt. Kilmurray. Ale on the far side. Pulled down about 3 metres out. And again, the Wanderers draw the penalty, Bobby.
Yeah, good defence again. I wonder what percentage of Chris Ailes' tries are scored in that 5 metre channel.
Yeah, he certainly comes up with a few, doesn't he?
He does. When you've got someone that runs as well and as strongly as him, of course, you'd use him out there against those littler defenders. Mistake by Simmons, though.
Crowd calling for forward. I thought it was fine as Vasagotti now takes it
Look forward to me, Gareth. I'm right in line.
Your eyes are certainly blue today.
Not at all.
It's a turnover.
The rugby gods have spoken there.
Yeah, he's knocked the ball onto the end, Vasagotti, so...
Another set piece. The Blues forced the penalty on the last one. They'd be going to this one full of confidence. Looks like a coaching session being given there by the referee.
Nice little tweet in there from the Colts coach, Tim Partridge, the Hunter Colts coach.
Did a fantastic job.
He took his dog for the walk this morning. He's asking, can you keep the gates open at Merriweather High so he can cut through?
No problem at all. No, I did a great job, Tim, with the Colts. My son happened to be part of that program this year. Passionate man and fantastic communicator with those kids. Did a great job.
He's good with kids. Being a child himself, Bobby.
And from Singo.
The lesser known of the more famous Anthony Partridge. And he won't mind me saying that either. As we go for another scrum, it's turned into what we didn't really want, Bobby. Scrum fest.
It must be just me and you. When we get together, it's a scrum fest.
Yeah, because we've had some cracking games in the 2018 season. The game against the Nelson Bay Maitland game is probably one of the best games I've seen over the last 4 years.
In the cyclonic conditions at Bill Strong.
Yep, definitely. There was probably 3 scrums all game.
A purist nightmare, a rugby lover's delight.
Well, interesting enough that both sides chanced their arm through the ball round. You saw the final try there on the highlights on Bar TV Sport. They scored out wide.
That would have brought the crowd to their feet.
Yeah, and there was a big crowd there considering the conditions at the Groper Dome. But we're here at number 2 Sports Ground today. 8-3 the score as Wanderers work themselves up the field off the back of some more discipline problems here by the Hawks. But this time the Hawks come up with the line-out win as Rockaboro steps off the right.
Great line-out win. Joe Ackerstock, I think.
And Brown with some good quick hands to McNeil. Vasagotti probably standing too flat there. Oh. He was unmarked.
Gone off his feet there. Sharp work by Liam Bryce, the flanker for the 2 Blues. And we've got another injury. The trainer's assuming the neck control position, as we've seen a few times already today.
Yeah, standard practice now, and it's good to see the duty of care out there for young and old.
Referee's just going to have a chat with, I wonder if it's both captains or just Luke Simmons. But this much into the game, there's still nothing in it, as we would expect. These two have been sometimes bitter rivals over the last half a dozen years. Both clubs are in a rebuilding phase, looking to incorporate new personnel in, looking to incorporate new styles of play. So for both teams, it's a little bit clunky at the moment. The discussion here is getting very animated.
Yeah, you can hear him coming through on our comms there. And
Steve Lamont is still trying to make a point. They must have been talking about forwards play because Luke didn't have too much input there.
He had no idea, did he?
He had no idea at all. So he probably just stood there and nodded his head. So we've got a blood bin.
Yeah, blood bin. Paddy Kilmurray coming from the field. Former newsreader.
Been a stalwart of the Hawks and has been instrumental in their three-peat premiership.
He's a good, solid player, isn't he? He's their go-to man when they need some pressure off the forwards.
The sort of man you build a team around, isn't he?
Coupe goes up for it again. Line-out's tough to win here today in these conditions. And double knock on, so we'll have another scrum, Bobby.
Another scrum after another line-out. But it's, you know, and we've said it a lot so far today, but neither of these sides was ever going to run away with this game.
Well, there's about 10 minutes remaining, 9 minutes remaining.
This wind hasn't died down.
8-3. So the Wanderers still in this game, well in reach. Well, they'll be wanting a try in the next 5 or so minutes to hit back against the Hawks.
Two Blues don't have a great kicking option. Dylan Mancinelli isn't the kicking sort of 5'8", whether Luke Simmons will assume some responsibility for that kicking with this wind.
Doesn't look like they're set to kick anyway, as Mancinelli standing at first receiver to Murch looking around the corner. Simmons now as they go
trying to free up Tim Marsh.
Yeah, Tim Marsh looking for some room.
He's been starved of room so far this season, Tim Marsh.
Yeah, he hasn't scored as many tries this year. That ball bouncing and rolling around. And
poor turnover with the two Blues there.
Yeah, so the Hawks turn the ball over. That's a poor pass to Rockaboro, and Blair Rush was looking to line up Sheridan. The flick pass on the inside goes to nobody, and the two Blues have the ball. They'll retain possession. We won't see a scrum as Yarman comes around. Oh, that's a good hit there. Rockaboro really making up for his mistake.
Referee going back to the original knock-on. Good refereeing, sir.
Yeah, one thing the referees, and we'll be doing a story on them in a couple of weeks, is they really are encouraging the development of the youth coming through, and I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah, you know, and it's a thankless job, but the game relies on them. And at international level, if you look at the age of the referees at international level and at Super Rugby level, you know, the youth is incredible. So it's a policy that Rugby Union has adopted, and it's working for them at the moment.
So blindside engagement, bit of a worry. The referee will swap sides.
Being a referee, you'd have to have a very intimate knowledge of the scrum laws and techniques, wouldn't you?
Well, having played the back end of my career in the scrum, I still don't know the rules.
Yeah. So it's hard to expect one of these young guys who have stepped into refereeing and doing a great job doing so.
And I was one of the smart ones.
Doesn't say too much about everybody else.
The ball fed in.
Another strong two Blue scrum.
Mancinelli drifts across field, drags.
Great defence.
Simmons back inside, wasn't it? No, it wasn't Simmons.
Bo Wilson, I think.
Yeah, it was Wilson.
Bakarich has got to be offside there. But
yeah, he certainly sped up, didn't he? And I think it was a line ball, Bobby. There's Marshall with a short ball. Good skills by the big man. Ashworth now getting around Vasagot. He comes over
high,
the top.
is it?
And that is certainly high, and he may even see himself with some time in the bin. No, play on. That is interesting there. We've got a replacement player out there in 22 for Kilmurray.
There's a little hoo-ha on the sideline.
Scuffle on the sideline. And Christensen comes across and breaks it up, which is a rarity in itself.
Not at all. Training to be a prison officer at the moment is young Ben Christensen, so he's just getting a little bit of occupational practice there.
Oh, good run by Simmons inside to Murch. Murch offloads.
Mancinelli is very strong for such a little fella.
He's impressive, isn't he? He's certainly been a good find for the two Blues.
Now they've isolated those numbers.
Here's Marsh now. This could be trouble, but no, well done by Bainavalu on the far side.
Very aggressive at that breakdown, disrupting that ball. So it's going to be another line out. I think the two Blues would be happy to go into half time, just this 5 points down.
Yeah, they certainly have played most of the game up their end, that's for sure. And that one not straight. So the line out certainly
poor
on both sides has been terrible.
Oh, they're usually immaculate Hamilton Hawks. Isn't so immaculate that line out today. But it is difficult conditions. And as I said, both sides are a little bit clunky today, a little bit off their game. But obviously when you're playing against one of the other powerhouses in the competition, the guy on the other side of the field is going to put you under pressure.
Yeah, there's been some pretty good defence out there, to be fair, as well. Rockaboro comes to mind, but the midfield for the two Blues, I think it's been outstanding out there.
Yeah, Mancinelli, Murch, they have been absolutely rock solid.
Having the league background as well certainly helps defending in the 10 channel. And that's a penalty to the Hawks. As Backridge has a bit of push and shove and Marshall laughs at him. Described as a bit of an oddball is Backridge by close friends.
And sometimes not so close friends.
I wonder if Marshall himself, he's certainly a little bit strange in character as well, isn't he?
Yeah. So another line out, another opportunity for the Hawks to get it right. So they've gone the short option.
That's the short option. You know, that's when your line out isn't firing. As Sherritt throws the long ball out to Vasagotti. Vasagotti tries to bump off Ashworth. He does, but Ashworth comes back for a second grab. There's Church now looking for Sherritt. Goes behind Rockaboro, and the ball goes behind everybody. Lamont hasn't seen too much ball here today. Nice short ball, though. Bainavalu was looking offload, but just couldn't get there.
Lamont did really, really well there to clean that situation up.
Yeah, Weaver takes them forward now. Sherritt with the ball again. McNeil standing in off him, and Coupe taken. Rockaboro. Good clean out there by the Hawks now. Sherritt looking to start something on his own. Coupe now finds... Oh, that's a good tackle there. Angus Brown hit very hard. He was standing flat-footed, and there is a bit of push and shove out there by Ben Christensen that time. So a good discipline he showed early on.
Bit of feeling in this game now, as you'd expect. They have been fierce rivals for many years now.
The ball kicked into touch, and it's a good one that time. They are facing a very wind, and the wind expected, incidentally, to switch.
Don't say that, Gareth.
At around 4:15.
Oh, we don't want to hear that sort of stuff.
My sources at the Bureau tell me.
You got sources at the Bureau.
Sources everywhere, Bobby.
So, short line out work good for Hamilton, not so good for Wanderers.
It's not going the 5 metres. Short arm penalty. Church to Sherritt to Rockaboro, who'll go forward himself this time. Didn't really have much room to wind up there. And again, Sherritt to McNeil. Church looking for runners. Finds it in Maxwell.
Noah Church has been a nice little performer today for the Hawks. His service to Sherritt has been immaculate at the moment. Mirror of the high product too.
Nice little kick over the top and finds touch. Doesn't quite get the bounce for Bainavalu.
It's a bit of a game of chess at the moment. Which of these two sides will crack first? Neither look like cracking at the moment.
Yeah, both defences. It's a real battle of attrition, isn't it? Out there on the paddock.
Certainly been not much action at either goal line end.
Well, here's Church now. He tries to duck under the tackle and create something
It's one of those calls that could have gone either way.
It was lucky for the Hawks, unlucky for the two Blues. In front of the sticks with Sherritt stepping up to take the ball. Lamont pointing to the sticks, and they will try and extend the lead by 3.
Right on half time, probably. I don't know if it's a great decision or not. I think at another time they might have kicked it into touch and backed themselves. But
5 out, rolling ball. And, you know, Sherritt's accuracy, not just as a goal kicker, but a kicker in general play, probably would have got them up towards the 5-metre line there.
Perhaps Coach Coleman hasn't had time to work through the rolling ball scenario this week.
He's been thrust into the job.
Yeah, unwittingly, unknowingly. Sort of bloke he is, though. Help anyone out.
He did say no a couple of times, and that kick comes across, and the flags go up. So that's a successful penalty there, right on the stroke of half-time. We're going to take a quick break and come back with all the second half action.
There is a lot. I know there was a lot at the ruck. It seems to be that same repeating thing of they were quick. Yeah, they were.
Put you in it as a celebrity kicker.
How much is it for?
3 minutes, roughly. Yeah, I got it about 7. 3 snakes, 3 minutes. You get 15 minutes. You get 15 minutes live time. Yeah. So if you said no, not game time, 15 minutes real time.
So it's still going over now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just anything you put in. Yeah, we're going to put him on something for 5. Yeah, cool. Done.
So does the kid get the money?
Yeah, I play good. I play good. Not going all those stuff.
Yeah. Well, Steve's always Steve's the street.
Oh, really?
Well, he just thinks he's a long way back.
Yeah, and so when it's clear, just look at it.
No support underneath. Yeah.
It was a good call along there. People want to find him down.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah. On that one? No, I saw him take it. I didn't see any relief. Okay. I just saw, I saw it as the same thing. I didn't see that one. Yeah.
Back in this one.
Yeah.
How many get?
Yeah.
Must have been drawn out twice.
I'm enjoying it. Oh. Not cold. You're always cold, though. Medium.
Picked up.
With all the Harvey players around on the field tonight, all off.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the 2018 Bar TV Sports coverage of the Rams NHRU. It is Wanderers hosting the Hamilton Hawks here at number 2 Sports Ground, and the Hawks in front, 11 points to 3. We saw a very gritty first half. I guess you can only subscribe. Oh, I can't even say it, Bobby.
That's right. You just eat that crackling, and I'll try and describe what we saw.
My mouth's salivating at the side of it.
Yeah, I think gritty. There wasn't much rugby played in that first half, but what can you expect against the two of the top teams? Perhaps the game will open up as fatigue sets in, or as one team starts to chase the game if they get behind too far on the scoreboard, but certainly there is absolutely nothing between these two teams at the moment.
So here we go, second half action is it's underway. It's the Hawks kicking off, restarting the match, and the ball comes up and down, and we'll see another scrum. We've had probably close to 10.
Kickoffs have become a really important part of the modern game, catching them, kicking them, securing possession from them. I think that probably comes as a carryover from the sevens world, but they're such a crucial part of the 15-side game now as well.
They're almost an attacking option, aren't they?
They are. And you've got to have your set catches, and your catches have got to be in the right position. And, you know, it's become a sort of subset of the game, what you do at kickoff time.
So scrum in favour of the Hawks here. They're 25 out. Backline is set to the right with everybody out there. Baina Valu looks like he'll take on the sweeping role.
They've all got hands up too. That sun must be a little bit just in the wrong position at this stage.
Good scrum there by both sides. Baina Valu coming off the hip of Sherritt and ducking, still going.
Elusive play. Another Merriweather the high product, actually. Sorelli Bonavulu.
Hamilton Jr. as well.
Merriweather the high product first.
And another mistake. So the second half not getting off to an ideal start.
I would say this would be one hit up, then a clearing kick. To use the modern parlance, exit. They need to exit effectively here.
And again, the scrum taking a long time to get set. They're not even packed together yet. You're not bound.
Perhaps they need to have a shot clock on the scrum.
Well, the clock doesn't work here at number 2, so it'll be a little bit tough.
Power problems.
Not paying the bills.
That's one of the power problems you can have.
Yeah, good scrum by both sides again as it goes down to the end, but Murch takes them forward.
There's nothing in that set piece at the moment. It's absolutely dead set even.
As they go forward on the 22s, they'll probably try and hit one up. No, they're going to counter-ruck here, the Hawks. They're too slow at the breakdown, but that'll be a penalty.
Coming in from the side. Well picked up, referee.
Yeah, clearly came from an offside position there.
Referee's done a pretty fair job today.
I think he's really good.
It'll be a fairly...
And they go to quickly counter here as Ashworth benefits. Oh, flick pass out the back. Lovely work, and Sherritt was there, and he knocks on, so good pressure by the two Blues, turning what was looking hard to get out of their own 22, and they really made a good effort there, good ground up the field by chancing their arm.
Committed to go wide, risked their hand a little bit, and nearly paid off. They've got a scrum now in an attacking position, of which they can launch a raid on the Hamilton Hawks line.
Of course, we've got the big Fiji women's side coming up next on Bar TV Sports. Taking on the Hunter women's side. It should be a bit of a spectacle if you like to see women's tries scored, because there should be plenty in the game.
Everything involving Fiji is always a spectacle. Not much of a spectacle here at the moment. Very tight, nip and tuck affair.
Mancinelli taking the line on. The ball pops up. Lamont gets over the ball. It looks like he may have got the turnover. He has. Good strength there by the captain. So here's Kilmurray. Kilmurray steps off the left, back into traffic, sets the ball up.
Very strong at the breakdown. It's what they built their premierships on, the Hawks, besides the dominance at scrum time.
Oh, nice work there.
Leela
Getting it
Marsh,
away.
bad miss.
Vasagotti on the far side looking for support, can't find it. Ale was there, but somehow the Hawks retain possession.
They've got numbers.
Yeah, they have got numbers. Maxwell looking to charge forward, might not need the support. As they're 5 metres out now, Sherritt throws the long ball. And Coupe, he'll go forward and he'll be wrapped up. The Hawks now starting to look dangerous. Stepping off the right. He's been probing all day and he'll go over for a try. Dane Sherritt.
He's been the dominant player out there today with his game management, his organisation. Whichever side of the ruck he's standing at, that's where the ball is going. And after just quick release after quick release there, got a mismatch just on the edge, showed great footwork and great commitment to run the ball forward, and he's gone in under the post. That's a vital first score in this half, especially into this wind.
Yeah, he's been really good on the front foot. He's been playing on the front foot all day. He's not a catch and pass type fly half, and that's what happens, isn't it? It provides him with that option, and he found the mismatch, as you said, and goes over.
Whatever's changed this week, and as we know, we all know what's changed this week, but it's certainly been a lifeline for Dane Sherritt because he's been fantastic today, easily the best.
And he converts his own try, so score now 18-5 in favour of the Hawks. And all of a sudden the score has blown out a little, Bobby.
It has blown out. More than two scores between the two sides now. Two Blues must score next. If the Hawks score next, the score could end up anything. Once you give Hamilton, once Hamilton's tails are in the air, they are very, very hard to stop and reverse that momentum.
Yes, certainly. There's half a drop in the bird bath already, Bobby. And that's a good restart there. It's nice and flat. Maxwell not under any pressure, though. And he makes some easy meters as Coupe now looks to pass again. Oh, coming to meet Sherritt. There was a 3-on-2 there. There was a tackle that had to be made. Lamont has a bit of a look.
Fairly uncharacteristic error by the long-term Hamilton Hawks captain.
Yeah, no signs of slowing up.
We've had a bit of a change in the two Blues pack. Noah Tafau, a young Waratahs front rower that joined the club a couple of weeks ago, has come on. Blair Rush will push back into his more well-known position in the second row.
Yeah, he's quite a good player, Tafau.
Yeah, he's a very underrated player.
I've seen him over the last couple of years. He's definitely a good around the park, as a lot of those Waratahs forwards up front were. Willie So.
Yeah, he's got a really interesting skill set. He runs the ball nicely. He creates
Yeah, good scrum there by the Hawks, and now Baina Valu steps back on the inside. Thought better of trying to get around Marsh there. So you can just sense now Hamilton have the ascendancy in the match.
Perhaps that little change at scrum time with Tafau going into the front row. It might just take him a couple of scrums just to settle into it. They're looking at their menacing best at the moment, the Hamilton Hawks.
Yeah, without doing too much as well, they haven't really done anything to light it up, as Rockaboro looks like he may be coming from the field. And he's going to stay on.
He's got a very rich bench to choose from, Coach Coleman.
Interestingly enough, they did go down by a fair bit in the second grade fixture. So Ale looking to get it right, goes to Ackersdyke. This time they do. Sherritt takes the line on again. And now he gets his hands on the ball, goes flat to Backridge. Backridge did want nothing to do with that.
That is the first error that's occurred around Dane Sherritt today. And we probably can't really blame him for that error.
I don't think it was his fault at all. I think even though he's running through as the decoy Backridge, he should have been aware the short ball was on, definitely.
Whether you're a decoy or a runner, you'd know this, Gareth. You always got to expect the ball, don't you?
Yeah, perennial decoy me.
And why not?
Drawing in 3 or 4 players.
Everyone used to look at you as the danger man. I remember that vividly. Rockaboro is coming off now.
Yeah, he is coming off. I think he may have suffered an arm injury.
Might be a tactical substitution, as they say.
Certainly. Getting on in age as well.
He is.
He's been good for the Hawks over so many seasons now.
This is going to be a crucial scrum because the last one was easily won by the Hawks. And that's another Blues ball here. They must stay rock solid here. Set some sort of platform for them to chase back this lead.
Well, Rockaboro out of the pack as well. He adds a lot of weight in that second row, and that'll be a penalty to the Hawks. So not getting it right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that penalty was for, but it was before the ball even went in. Obviously something's gone astray there in the 2 Blue scrum because they were so solid for the whole of the first half. If not dominant, they were certainly on a par with the Hamilton Hawks. And the last 2 scrums have both gone out the back door, so to speak.
So good chance here for Hamilton to set up for that maul we spoke about towards the end of the first half, and they've done just that. As they drive forward, the ball comes neatly to the back. Almost perfectly executed. Marshall's going to have to watch himself there. I thought maybe Marshall could have got penalised against there.
Looked like he was trying to pull it down a little bit, but the referee was in perfect position and he saw something else. And it's a turnover ball now, but again, the 2 Blue scrum is going to be under enormous pressure here. It's amazing how quickly the game can change. It wasn't too long ago that we were talking about an absolutely even affair, but now on the back of a scrum, a couple of good scrums, on the back of a score, a couple of good penalties. 2 Blues got their backs against the wall now.
Yeah, 18-3 the score. That's a good scrum again by the Hawks as they get pushed backwards. And a penalty again.
This must be frustrating to Darren Young and the coaching team. the scrum was so good for the first half. And now they smell blood in the water, the Hawks. They absolutely smell blood in the water.
And the blood's blue, Bobby.
Still plenty of time to go in the game to change that situation, but something's going to have to happen very quickly.
Into the 53rd minute, and they're going to have to watch themselves as well at the scrum here. They might find themselves with someone in the binge.
Well, I think they'll certainly put it on the two Blues here. And they'll go for that big pushover try. And then we'll see some high-fiving, I would think.
Some whoop-wooing and some high-fiving.
Whoop-wooing,
it'll be all...
Bum taps. Everything will be on here.
So here we go. And this is a better scrum by the two Blues. They hold it up nicely. The Hawks trying to advance forward, though. And they're doing a good job of it now. Picked up from the back, cut down as they get closer and closer. And held up, says the referee.
So they repeat it all again.
Take two, or take five.
Take two. They held well then, the two Blues, and then probably got a little bit worried about what was happening in front of them.
Oh no, he's reversed the decision, and that's a try. He called it early. I thought he did call it early. He didn't consult the touch judge, but as they go back to the touch judge, they confirm the try.
Well, can't shed too much light on what happened there. It was a strong scrum. Took it off the back, and obviously the referee was obscured and got advice from the touch judge.
Yeah, we see here him going over to consult. He didn't actually call held up. I thought he had the held up sign, but our apologies.
Well, that's decent refereeing from the young man. If he wasn't sure, he didn't commit himself too early. He got the information that he needed, and it was obvious that the touch judge saw the ball go to ground, and though not a game clincher just yet, it's certainly looking a little bit ominous in terms of the two Blues. It's three scrums in a row now. They haven't been able to control their own ball.
Yeah, definitely, as that ball kicks across the face. So the score remains 23-3.
And this wind hasn't played any part in this at all.
No, definitely. And the Wanderers haven't really had the chance, have they, to attack?
They've had no ball, no field position. And that's testament to the Hawks and whatever Coach Coleman said at halftime. Obviously, he's changed a few things, and those few things have made a marked difference in this game.
Nice run across field by Coupe. Offloads to Ale. He's looked pretty good at the back, Coupe. He's the try scorer.
Big, strong runner. Great work rate.
Ball goes to the short side. Angus Brown met in some stiff defence there. It's taken back into the 22. Sherritt puts it up nice and high. Ashworth comes across. He takes it nicely. Simmons now. Here they go with some attack, and Danny Murch. Probably not the quickest in the Wanderers' back line, but
he's turned it over.
I was just about to say he's probably the safest, but the ball lost forward, and now Sherritt takes them forward. Advantage is over. Lamont with a good, strong run.
It's these little fundamental errors that's killed the Blues so far to get any sort of, that stopped them getting any sort of momentum in this second stanza. So the wins had zero effect because they can't get any field position.
Maxwell pops it up, stays in touch, the strength, and it is a cliche, but he does get better with age. Pete Maxwell. Ball goes to Weaver, bumping one off. Good run by the Welshman. So now Sherritt looks for it. It opens up for him. Has Brown on the outside. Bakarich on the inside. Bakarich will definitely not have the legs for that, but he's taken 22 out. He can score a try. Kilmurray goes around, and he's taken to ground. So now Sherritt, McNeil, Brown, Vasagotti. He's been fairly quiet And here's Ale palming one off. Stepping. Now trying to wind up towards the line. Now they'll pick and drive for Ackersdyke. He'll score an easy try in the end.
The floodgates have opened here. Very unlike the two Blues. They just haven't been able to get in the game into this second half. The intensity, the control, it's the Hamilton Hawks of the last 3 years and the three-peat premiership team.
Well, whatever Bubba said at half-time, it's worked. As Backridge comes from the field. Had a good day at the office. The prop forward, he's hasn't seen too much ball, but the scrums in the second half, he definitely, I guess, changed his body position a little bit. And they were getting under that big two Blues front row.
Yeah, and the scrum, the scrum has been the turning point. You know, we can talk about lots of Wanderers games over the last few years, and we talk a lot about the dominance of the scrum, and that's been evident here again today.
So Sherritt into the wind.
You'd back him to kick this, I would think.
Well, he's hit it, and the flags go up. So 30 points to 3 now.
Well, we can't say the game's gone right at the moment, but it's getting awfully close. It's an important little time in the game now for the two Blues. They must show character. They must show some resilience.
Still 20 to go.
Well, stranger things have happened, but it's pushed out to 5 scores now. And those little fundamental 1% errors that they've
5 scores, 3 tries. Converted.
Sorry, I'm thinking rugby league.
That's all right.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
That's all right. You stick to the PE teaching, I'll stick to the maths.
That's right. 4 scores. There you go.
There we go. Bit of numerical semantics there, Bobby.
They're capable of doing it, but whether the Hamilton Hawks will allow them to do it.
I don't think at this stage of the match the Hawks, they look too dominant in defence, to be fair. 3 tries.
No,
converted tries to be even. 4 to win. I don't think it's, well, you said it's not impossible, but the way this Hawks side is defending, they haven't had to do too much of it as well. So a little bit fresher towards the back end of the game as Brown gets around, ducks under. Now Sherritt calling for it again. He's been the difference here today as Tills slammed on his back.
Could be that new coach syndrome.
Bainavalu pops it up. As McNeil driven sideways. Kilmurray stepping his way through.
Sherritt's been good, but Kilmurray hasn't been too far behind him today.
Yeah, he's always figuring as best on ground, Kilmurray, and he's taken late. You'd have to imagine there as the mark's called. They almost sold it there. Good refereeing.
Yeah, very good refereeing. Could have been a little bit of simulation, as they call it in the beautiful game.
The World Game, I'm looking forward to that tonight as well.
Absolutely.
Australia-France.
What are you going to watch? The soccer, the rugby league, rugby?
I'll be flicking between channels. I certainly won't be watching Optus Sport, that's for sure. I'll be watching it on free-to-air.
It's a feast of sport this evening.
I'll probably be watching our delayed coverage on Bar TV Sports, Bobby, of all the NHRU. Of course, we'll be streaming those ones later on, of course, tomorrow.
You're doing a review of your own performance today?
Oh, I've never listened to myself. Maybe I should. As Sherritt goes forward. Good run. Coupe running wide, finds support in Brown. Brown gets on the outside of his man, finds Vasagotti. Vasagotti will go for the corner, and Vasagotti will score.
Too good, too quick, too slick, too everything today, the Hawks. It's certainly been their day. The changing coach, where that's been the difference, but they've but you know, they've rediscovered the Hamilton Hawks of the last 3 years and why they were so dominant over the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's certainly the second half especially has looked like the Hamilton Hawks we saw at the back end of last year. They took a while to fire.
Don't forget they're kicking into, while the wind's dropped a little, it's still a significant win, but I can't remember a time that the two Blues have been down in the Hamilton Hawks half.
Sherritt with the ball.
35-3, it's getting a little bit embarrassing now.
Well, Coleman said he had 20 points.
That's why he's the super coach. We all bow to his knowledge and ability.
Yeah, well, Sherritt hits the ball, comes across, and it's waved away. So score remains 35-3.
And the situation still remains here for Wanderers. They need to show character and resilience. They need to show something in this last 10 or 15 minutes. They need to show something to build on next week.
Paddy Kilmurray coming from the field. Well-deserved early mark for him today. Ashworth with a restart, goes deep, uses the wind this time, comes off the hands, batted in. I thought he may have had a foot on the touchline there, did hard work for himself. Now Yarman.
Two Blues may finally have a little bit of field position here.
Well, he's the danger man with the ball in hand. Francis. Playing for the Samoan 7 side and now calling number 2 home. Well, this is a good run.
Big Noah to foul.
Yeah, to foul. That's what he's there for. Taking 2 or 3 to bring him down. Christensen takes inches. That's up high on Rush. Rush gets them 5 out.
Persisting with a pick and drive here.
Yeah, coming off the back there and hesitated. To foul, gets low. Driven back though. I'd hate to be on the bottom of that, Bobby.
Great defence.
Oh, that's opened up and that's a try. Well worked. And the Wanderers hit back. But is it all too late?
Well, you'd probably think it is, but well, when you put the game in context, it was the only time that Wanderers were down that end. Perhaps the Hawks just took their foot off the pedal a little bit in terms of their defensive intensity. It was a nice strike back by Wanderers. It's not going to get them back into the game, but it should fill them with a little bit of confidence.
As we saw there, successful with the conversion.
$35-10.
Yeah, 35-10 gives it a bit more respectability. They'll be happy that they got over the line.
But they've looked awesome today, the Hamilton Hawks. Whoever's going to beat them for this premiership is going to have to do a lot of work. Just waiting on the ball. Now we've got 2 on the field.
So Sherritt with the restart. As time is called back on. Simmons was under a lot of pressure that time by the Hawks. And here come the 2 Blues up the field. Now's the time to turn it on if they're going to turn it on. 15 to go. Or thereabouts. Rush running wide. To foul, looking for it. Hard to put down. Gets them over halfway. Still going. Picking up and going himself.
Great run.
And gives us the full moon here at number 2. Sherritt gets up quick. Christensen goes without it. It's a knock on. So they built well there, the 2 Blues, but the execution in the end just wasn't quite there.
Yeah, and the rush defence, Dane Sherritt raced up from about 3 men wide there. He read what was going on and took it upon himself to cut it back. It may have been a little bit offside, but certainly his efforts were rewarded there with a turnover. They haven't turned it up, the two Blues. They just haven't been good enough today. Not today, anyway.
Yeah, Sponsors Day. The sponsors will be charged up over there. And
they're charged up, ready to watch
this. Be a good opportunity to help them out and throw a bit more money in, Bobby.
Yes. Yes. Not that we need more money for anything else except promoting all our juniors.
Growing the game, of course.
That's right.
That's what it's there for.
Scrum held well there.
Yeah, good work there by the two Blues to foul. With those couple of runs, his confidence is back. And now Simmons gets them downfield. That's a very good kick. I thought he got a bit more distance on that, but I'm usually wrong with those things.
So inside the last 10 minutes, I said the two Blues haven't turned it up, but the Hawks have just been too good today. Dane Sharrett has been absolutely outstanding in everything he's done. His running of the ball, his kicking game, his passing game, his management, game management, that often used term these days, has been spot on.
Oh, good tackle. Turning the ball over. Sherwood's on the field as well. The little terrier getting over the ball already.
He's got the... Oh.
Unlucky there. Maybe he thought he was off his feet, but he's just that short, Bobby. He looked off his feet.
He just looked off his feet, but he's been a great servant of this club.
Yeah, he's going to be up there as one of the Wanderers' greats, Bobby.
I would say so. If they have ever Wanderers immortals, he would be one of them, I would think.
As our cameras get a bit of a working over there. Rowan Kelly on the field as well, former Central Charlestown captain coach. Just coming back from injury. In the Southern Beaches game, I believe. So he was part of their closing chapters last year, the Hamilton Hawks. His first year of rugby.
That was well defended there by the two Blues because they had a little bit of a role there. Just a little bit of a disconnect there in the Hawks pack, but they've made so many changes there now. They're a shadow of how they started. Sun's gone down and so has the temperature.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a couple of layers on as it is, and I'm certainly feeling it.
Yeah, at about 5:30 this afternoon when that wind blows in a little bit, Gareth, and be nice and cosy up here.
Of course, they'll be staying for the next match here. Fiji women taking on the Hunter women. The Sherwood takes on the line. And good tackle there by Brown. He's good in defence, the 13. Looking for Murch now, looking for Ashworth. Ashworth gets on the outside of Vasagotti. McNeil comes around, cuts him off. Showed a good bit of pace there, and Lamont rips the ball, but again, he loses the ball. And now the Hawks will rip the ball back, but that's a penalty.
Last 10 minutes has been good for the two Blues. They've showed plenty of fight. They've created some opportunities. Hasn't gone their way today, but there's certainly stuff there that they can work on going forward.
Marshall has that ball plucked out of his arms.
You can't give Chief turnovers like that too.
Bainavalu steps back inside of Marsh. Marsh wraps him up nicely though. Ackersdyke looking for the run.
Great.
Yeah, good counter-rucking there by the two Blues. Now Simmons calls for it, looking for something out wide. Gets it to Sherwood. Sherwood runs, dummies, bumps out of the defenders there.
Ugly work by the two Blues. But
the quick tap by Marshall. The bump off. The inside ball to Ashworth. Ashworth. That'll get the crowds back, Bobby.
It sure will in the last few minutes.
Oh, that is beautiful stuff. Down the short side. And they weren't going to stop him from there. Tim Marsh goes over for a well-deserved try.
Great run by Leland Marshall. Nice little offload. Great work by the two Blues forwards in terms of recycling that possession. Then a nice little skill set by a couple of the back line there. And I think it's Dylan Mancinelli has gone over it in the corner.
That was a Dylan, wasn't it? I thought it was Tim Marsh.
There's been elements in the last 10 minutes that I think will fill the two Blues with plenty of confidence going forward. Obviously, they've been outgunned by a much better team here today, but it is a long season.
Mancinelli's off the field, Bobby.
Is he?
And Sherwood is playing 10, so I'll stand by Tim Marsh scoring that try.
I'll go with you. Who would be? I would never question you, Gareth. Except I'm pretty sure that Dylan Mancinelli is just there. But that's just me.
So, while we argue there, did he get the conversion?
He missed the conversion.
He did miss the conversion. 35-15 the score.
A couple more late tries here. We get a bonus point. But
nice kick there. Sherratt puts it high up in the air and out on the full. I thought it may have just landed in the field of play there.
I suppose you could say the last little bit of this game has been a bit of a false economy or so for Wanderers. There's been a huge amount of changes made by the Hawks, a little bit of disruption, a little bit of disconnect in the way they played, but during that 15-minute period at the start of the second half there, they were outstanding. They were back to their premiership best.
Yeah, they were, and as you mentioned as well, there's been substitutions, so they made wholesale changes. They've cleared the bench, the Hawks, but it's been a dominant display here at number 2 Sports Ground. The crowd hasn't dissipated for the next match. It's certainly grown larger as well.
A lot of Fiji supporters here, dressed in the national regalia, the national dress of Fiji.
Ball off the top.
Noah Church, he's been very good for him as well.
He has been very good, hasn't he, Noah Church? And he was... Oh, Kelly takes a hit up there and runs into the shoulder of Tafau.
Noah Church ran around in those lower grades for 3-4 years.
Yeah, he did, and everyone a little bit surprised that he got the call up to first grade at the start of the year, but he's made a pretty good account for himself as Sherwood gets in there. And he's done well, hasn't he, over the ball since he's come on. Oh, good run by Tafau again. And
I think that's the way of the 2018 NHRU, the emphasis on youth and giving young blokes a chance. I see young Zach Crowley out at 15 now for Hamilton. He's only an 18-year-old.
Yeah, young Mulhern played fly half the other week as well with Sherratt out. He's very good.
And you look at the unbeaten leaders. Yeah, the unbeaten leaders, the Greens, how good their youth has been. So it's a land of opportunity for young blokes, the NHRU in 2018.
Oh, good tackle. Brown driving back Murch.
Working on a penalty advantage, I think, the two Blues.
He's played pretty well, hasn't he, Murch, in a side that's been defeated in defence and attack. He'll certainly be looking forward to that weekly shower.
He will.
The Englishman.
He will. I think he's leaving us for a couple of weeks now, Danny Murch, going on a holiday to Hawaii, I believe.
Life's tough at the top, isn't it?
Must be the whole clan going to Hawaii for a mid-season sojourn.
Get out of this weather. Good idea. I wish I could join him.
Sherratt will just...
Surely there's some grassroots sports going on this time of year in Hawaii.
Yeah, the Hawaiian National League would be in full swing right now.
Maybe some cricket. Some Hawaiian cricket.
The Hawaiian IPL.
Yeah. The HIPL.
The HPL.
Brown comes from the field as well. He's had a good game. Couple of minutes left. As Sherratt looks to extend the lead and add to his tally. The flag goes up, the points go up, and it's 38 points to 15. A couple of minutes remaining.
I think the scoreboard's probably a fair indication of the way the game has gone. It was extremely tight the first half. There wasn't much rugby played, and for the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half, the Hawks were just outstanding. Put on 2 or 3 tries, dominated the blue scrum, and that's where the game was won in that 20-minute period.
Nice footwork there on the 22, and again Sherwood tries to get over, but the clean-out's better this time. Holding on, not releasing, so nice work again by Sherwood, drawing the penalty. And I don't know what his situation is, but certainly since he's been on the field, Bobby, the Wanderers do look a slicker outfit.
There's no substitute for his experience, his drive, and what he brings to the team. But in saying that, it's we've got to give the new generation opportunities, and Luke realises that, and Luke's happy to play a guiding hand, an advisory hand there, but obviously still got it, and has always been one of my favourite players in the NHRU.
Taking the line on now. Ball comes out to Marsh. Marsh taken. Maybe across the head, but the referee says play on. He's let the game flow here today. Oh, almost the intercept there for Ackersdyke. And now here's Sherwood. Finds Murch. Murch one-on-one with Bain Avalu, straightens up, pops the ball. Now Rowan Kelly looking for support.
I think the
Off his
referee
own line, won't be happy with that.
needs to blow the whistle, I think. I think we've seen enough of this afternoon.
We'll probably have one more scrum, Bobby, just to remind us of the afternoon and what it's become.
Well, Luke Sherwood's afternoon's finished by the look of it.
He's come from the field. Good little cameo. He's hit his head, has he?
I think he has.
Was he blue carded?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you see too many blue cards in first grade these days. They're fairly selective in how all that happens. Decent scrum by the two Blues.
Yeah, just wheeling there, so referee calling it. We'll see it again, Bobby. Just one more time before the full-time whistle goes. You can see in the background there the Fijian ladies warming up.
They certainly look like they're on task.
Yeah, they look pretty slick.
I take it the Hunter ladies are
back paddock.
Back paddock. Last chance for the two Blues to get something out of this game here. Yeah, good scrum, two Blues. Gonna tap and go.
Stepping is Mancinelli off the left. He'll go towards the line. He'll score a try. Nice work. Great individual effort by Mancinelli.
Great little run by Dylan Mancinelli. He's been a real find for the two Blues this year. Great defender, great feet. Not the biggest man in the NHRU, but certainly one of the strongest in terms of running, and very elusive. And
well, it was a good scrum as well by the two Blues to earn the penalty in the first place.
By the look of it, that's going to be it for the afternoon. It's been a good last 15 minutes by the two Blues. They could have very easily turned it up, but they did just the opposite and finished on some positives, and they were outgunned today. You can't argue with that. But at the end of the day, these two teams will meet again. Maybe in that last week in September, and I know the coaching staff will take a lot out of today. They're a fairly novice coaching staff in terms of Newcastle and Hunter first grade. And it's a learning experience for them as well.
So, That's full time. The score 22-35 in favour of the Hamilton Hawks, the visiting side. Thanks very much for joining us, Bobby Harrison. Stay tuned on Bar TV Sports. Flick over to the next stream as we'll be bringing you all the action from the Fiji women's versus the Hunter women's big match here at number 2 Sports Ground. Thanks very much, Bobby.